Greetings! I have a special announcement just for you. Join me Sunday, December 29th at 4 p.m. for an Under the Moon Gate New Year Intention Setting Workshop. During the workshop, I will lead us in a dream-finding meditation. We will journal to our inner subconscious and manifest together the seeds and goals for 2025. 2025. Tickets are free and online now at newyearunderthemoongate.eventbrite.com. I cannot wait to welcome the new year with you. Welcome Under the Moon Gate. I'm Erin Bagwell, a developing intuitive medium, awakening witch, and documentary filmmaker. I am sharing what I'm learning about living from the dead with stories to inspire us to find the magic within. And I'm so excited to be here on this very blessed of days on Halloween, where the veil is the thinnest. We have an extra special show for you today. I am talking with special guest Atima Lui. Atima is a tarot card reader, witch, an educator who specializes in teaching Black people how to connect to their higher power and gain personal liberation by reading tarot. During our conversation, Atima and I talk about the basic principles of tarot, how it grew in popularity despite being born at the same time of one of the world's most conservative religions, and how white folks can support spiritual reparations. This was a really exciting episode because not only do we get to learn about Atima's background and her love of tarot, but we also pull for some listeners. I got some questions from my wonderful book club, and we get into it. We talk about love. We talk about whether a sitter should move. We talk about what happens when we're feeling stuck and overwhelmed creatively. Lots of wonderful insights. So you definitely don't want to miss this episode. Also, because it's Halloween, I thought maybe we'll skip the listener comments and questions today. And this morning, actually, I received an email from a friend, Beth, and she sent me this beautiful poem. So in honor of Halloween, I thought I would read it for you. So this is called If Adam Picked the Apple by Danielle Coffin. There would be a parade, a celebration, a holiday to commemorate the day he sought enlightenment. We would not speak of temptation by the devil. Rather, we would laud Adam's curiosity, his desire for adventure and knowing. We would feast on apple-inspired fare, torts, chutneys, pancakes, pies. There would be plays and songs reenacting his courage. But it was Eve who grew bored, weary of her captivity in Eden. And a woman's desire for freedom is rarely a cause for celebration. Woo! What a poem! What a poem! Thank you, Beth, for sending that to me. I will post the poem in our show notes as well if you want to reread it. But I would offer that on this Halloween, in addition to your lighting fires and doing spells or hanging pictures of your ancestors and journaling, why not eat a juicy red apple in Eve's honor for giving us the gateway, for honoring our ancestors and the women who came before us and the women who've been shunned and thought less of for their curiosity, for their adventurous spirit, for their wanting to know. So let's take a moment to honor Eve, who some might call the original witch. Happy Halloween, everyone. Welcome Under the Moon Gate.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. It's so good to see you.
I know, it's so funny. I feel like I've missed you.
Oh, I've missed you.
I feel like, oh my gosh, we haven't done tarot and like what's going on. And we had so many little meetings to get ready for that workshop. So I am so excited to be celebrating this witches holiday with you. Are you doing anything special today? Any Halloween traditions? Any dressing up? What's happening for you on this day of the thinning of the veil.
I am definitely going to be giving out candy from my home. I love when trick-or-treaters come. And last weekend, we did a big Halloween party at my church, actually,
Mm.
where I helped kids make slime with magic potions, which was so
Ooh,
fun. We had like hundreds of kids show up to this trunk or treat, we called it. So we
yes.
had different cars decorated in the parking lot of the
We do a
church. And so it
similar
was
trunk
like
or treat at my daughter's school. It's so cute.
so cute. I love seeing all the kids in their costumes. And I wore a devil's costume. I
Ooh,
have these ears that I actually bought not for Halloween purposes. I just felt like embodying the devil tarot card at one point. I just really
okay.
wanted to channel that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil horns that I have both like a goat horn set and then also another set of horns that go up in the air. And so
Yeah.
very much like the devil tarot card.
First of all, I'm in awe and I'm like titillated. And now I'd love to see like you reenact all the tarot. Like a full photo shoots, like full you, like doing the devil, doing the high priestess, doing the fool. Like, wouldn't that be fabulous for your Instagram?
I'm so glad you mentioned that because that was sort of what I was doing is I was just playing around, recording myself, embodying different major arcana
Oh,
cards
I'm
just for
obsessed. I love
myself.
it. Oh, I'm very
But maybe
into
I
it.
should do it for real.
Yes, for real, for real. I think that would be beautiful. While we're on the topic of tarot, tell us this is a tarot themed episode. We're going to be pulling cards later for listener questions. How did tarot find you?
Tarot found me when I was living in New York about, gosh, like 5 years ago now. I was part of a women's co-working space, which is no longer in existence. But ironically, they actually called themselves witches. It was a very witchy
Mm,
space. And it's where I was really exposed to astrology.
mm,
And everyone really thought about their sense of time and season and their days in terms of astrology. And I got really connected with astrology that way. And also, there was just this appreciation for alternative spirituality. And there was a card reader who was also a member.
mm,
And I was just so fascinated by her practice. And she just had this aura about her that just
mm,
was so attractive, just this like witchy spirit that I wanted to be closer to. And
mm.
she gifted me a tarot deck.
Oh,
And it
wow.
just yes, so special. And it just sat on my coffee table for about a year.
Hmm.
But then when 2020 happened and COVID happened and the world fell apart, I started looking for spirituality as an anchor.
Mm,
And I was just looking around my room and I was like, let's just start pulling these tarot cards. And they really anchored me and supported me through having COVID, through different traumas I was experiencing, being a Black woman in 2020, dealing with the deaths of Black folks at the hands of police, and just feeling like it's unsafe to be in my Black body. And connecting with my tarot practice was a way of settling my mind, settling
mm.
my soul, and really helping to center me. So that's how I found tarot and how that practice really grew for me.
You mentioned earlier in our conversation that you attend a church. How does your church and your tarot kind of live together in your spiritual practice, or maybe they don't? I'm curious, always curious about how people kind of build their own practices.
Yes. So I'm really blessed to go to a church that is very open about spirituality and about people believing in anything that they want and
Mm,
believing that there's no one way to pray. And that was exactly what I was looking for, was a church home that would be very accepting. I am not the only tarot reader at my church, which
Oh,
is
cool.
so special. Yeah, so, so special. And there was even a new person who came to check out the church. And she was talking to the pastor and was like, well, what about this? Is it okay that I'm like this? Or is it okay that I'm gay? And she was like, okay, my final question is, I have a tarot deck. And they were like, oh, it's totally fine, So a very special environment that I'm a part of. And in terms of my ancestry, my grandparents were quite religious, definitely believed in Jesus Christ. They were Christians, they were Baptist. And I like to think of my tarot practice as connecting me to my grandparents who have since
Mm.
passed. And I actually have a tarot deck called the Hoodoo Tarot, which actually has scripture assigned to the major arcana. And what I love about that deck is it talks about Black spirituality always being this mix and this experiment between indigenous practices and African practices and the Christianity that we discovered and we're a part of here too. So that's how I kind of mix it all together.
So funny. As you brought up your grandparents, sometimes I get hits about people, like when people bring up someone who's passed, and I can see your grandmother right now, like hooting and hollering behind you, like an
Oh.
old church lady who's like so proud of you. Like I feel a lot of her love for you. So, um,
Oh.
she's just a validating, that combination is there and that she's proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Because sometimes I do wonder, I found the tarot after they passed, and,
Mm.
there are a lot of communities that don't accept tarot. And it wasn't something that I exposed them to before they passed. And so sometimes I wonder, gosh, would they think of this as a demonic practice? Would they think of me as falling away from the right path,
Hmm.
And so I really appreciate you saying that you see something different.
Yeah, what I'm getting from them is this sense of you stepping in and finding your voice and
Mm,
being part of the spiritual community and like integrating those things. And yeah, that just like just a full pride feeling. That's what I'm getting.
beautiful. Yeah, because when I found the tarot, that's when I really started to feel the most spiritual I've ever felt.
Mm.
And I feel like my grandparents would just be happy that I have a relationship with the divine.
Yeah, and a way to connect to them too.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting, the tarot, isn't it? It's like a little sliver of something divine, I think, and a way to kind of unearth the divinity within us. And it's so interesting that so many religions, I'm a recovering Catholic, fear the tarot and fear kind of this connection to yourself or the connection to the divine without, say, like a priest or like a man to guide you through that process. There's a beautiful store here in Buffalo called Flicker in Hamburg that sells, crystals and candles and, beautiful spiritual things. And the woman, I met the owner once, and she was like, for a long time, we wouldn't carry tarot because we
Hmm.
knew that the community would think we were demonic. And there is the myth that maybe you're connecting with the devil because you're a witch. Why there is this demonic connection between practicing tarot?
I'm not sure, but what I do know is that I have read a slave narrative. So, a
Mm.
narrative by a woman who was enslaved in the United States. And she talked about how the slave masters would basically use spirituality as an argument for enslavement. And they would say that slaves were naturally demonic, and that one of the ways they were demonic is the fact that they were cutting cards and
Mm.
pulling roots. So the idea of root work and the idea of cartomancy being demonic came up.
Mm.
And so I think that anything that deviates from Christianity in its conservative, more traditional practices
Structures. Yeah.
is, yes, it's more traditional structures is seen as demonic. But it's so interesting that you mentioned there's almost this hierarchy
Mm.
of how demonic something might be for a store that has crystals to be worried about selling tarot cards. That's very interesting. You
In
know,
your mind, do you think crystals are a little bit more like occult than tarot?
I think they're just as a cult. I put them on
Oh,
the
on the
same
same wavelength.
plane. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I don't know why. I think of like astrology. I think of uh if you sage, I think of
Mm.
Palo Santo. I think of all of these things as outside of Christianity and kind of in this equal space of reclaiming spirituality for yourself and
Hmm.
being alternative.
Well, I think that there's a lot of superstition, like ingrained in Catholicism and American Catholicism. I'm doing a lot of research, obviously, about the witch for my documentary. And I feel like the practice of tarot, because it's like something that you physically do and that somebody could physically see you and witness you and you could receive information as opposed to a crystal or, something that's like more hidden. It's kind of
Mhm.
more transactional, right? It's more out there, um, but there's this embedded fear of things we don't know, I would say,
Mhm.
that
Absolutely.
causes this kind of inflaming of terror and then
Hmm.
all these negative side effects. I know that we have, if people are lucky enough who have been to our little tarot workshop, we did like a full 101 on what the tarot is and how to do it. And everybody who's listening now can follow Atima on Instagram and get all the goods and now see all the beautiful visuals to accompany it. Do you want to share with people like a little, like a smidge of history of how the cards came to be and just anything off the top of your head of their I know their history is in Italy, is that right?
Yes. So the tarot comes from the 1400s in Italy as part of the Renaissance. And we can think of the tarot as being a relatively new spiritual tool. It's definitely growing. And what I love about when I think about the tarot starting in Italy is that that's where you have the head of the Catholic Church. And so you have
Mm,
this spirituality that was growing in an alternative way at the center of tradition, which is just so fascinating. As
that
I
is so fascinating. Like the polarity of those two things, right?
exactly,
Mm.
exactly.
I'd love to know within your tarot practice if there's anything that tarot has, given you or revealed to you about yourself that really was like astonishing or irritating, or do you have any tarot stories that's like, ugh, when I get this card, this happens?
Yes. So I would say that what the tarot has shown me is that I have to work extra hard on earth energy. Whenever I
Mm,
pull the pentacles, I'm like, okay, I need to pay attention. I am someone who can be in their head all the time and in
mm-hmm,
their emotions. So when I think of the suit of cups, which is emotions, when I think of the suit of swords, which is your thoughts and your communications, those suits just come naturally to me. That's my natural state of being is to
mm,
think and feel my way through the world. But it's important to recognize that I have a body, that body needs
mm.
nourishment, that body needs rest, that body needs sunlight. And it's just the basics. And that feels really almost embarrassing to be 34 years old and
I
need to
don't
be
think so. I
reminded
think
to eat
that's a
well.
beautiful, I think that's a beautiful practice. And I think that's a beautiful reminder. This, in the mornings, I've been trying to drink water, as we do. And I've been doing this ritual where I'll say, your body is a temple as I'm drinking the water. It's like my morning little ceremony that I do, but I think it's really changed the way I view my body to think about it like this little being that like I get to take care of.
Beautiful. Yes, exactly. And for me, I love pulling the Ace of Pentacles, which
Mm,
traditionally has the hand of the divine holding this disc, this pentacle, and that disc looks like a little seed to me. Well, not little, rather big seed. And I think about myself as a seed and planting seeds in a garden and taking care of this little seedling, needing
mm.
light and needing water and needing patience and given this opportunity to grow. So whenever I pull the Ace of Pentacles, I'm like, okay, it's time to really dial in my self-care.
Mm. Isn't that so funny? Because when I pull the Ace of Pentacles, I'm always like, money, 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 baby. You know, it's like cards can mean so many different things to different people and how they even the visuals, right? Our cards are probably so different visually looking. There's so much to pull that's so different. This is kind of a random question, but have you seen the Marvel show Agatha All Along?
No, I haven't.
Do you have Disney Plus?
I do have Disney Plus.
So there's this show that Marvel made about Agatha, and she's a witch, and the journey of the story is that she has to build her coven and go through this witch's road journey. And one of the witches is a divination witch, and she does tarot, and there are these little Easter eggs of her doing tarot. And then at one point, her like big like tarot skill was that she had to read someone, and she was giving all these tarot rules that like I was like, oh, I got to text Atima because I don't know if this is right or not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it's a really fun, campy, but sisterhood show, and I'm really enjoying watching it. I'll probably do a deeper dive about it later at some capacity, but yeah, check it out. I love all the little kind of nods to the tarot in it.
I love that. And that makes me so happy because I really see the tarot as this growing practice. I think that it's just a matter of time before it becomes as popular and as ubiquitous as astrology, as yoga for a self-care practice. I really see it as being normalized.
Especially with its like the sister decks of Oracle, like the Oracle decks, which you don't need any, you know, you don't have to like this. The tarot is structured almost like a deck of cards. Like there's numbers, there's suits, there's minor and major arcanas. There's a little bit of rules to tarot, but an oracle deck, which kind of people get them confused, is just kind of beautiful imagery that has a spiritual message attached to each card. So if you were tarot curious and you wanted to kind of just start pulling cards, I think an oracle deck is a beautiful kind of way to start the tradition of let me pull a card and see like what flower I get or what animal or whatever your deck is composed of. And then later, kind of as you learn to trust yourself, getting into tarot, I think is even more fun, dare I say. But I feel like or I give people oracle decks like they move into a new house or they have a baby. Like I'm shipping them an oracle deck.
I love that. I have one oracle deck and it has the
You only
hip
have
hop.
one oracle deck?
I only have one.
Oh my goodness.
I
I
have
have them like
multiple tarot
littered
decks.
all like in every corner of my house. I'm like, I gotta get an oracle deck over here.
The one that I have is the Queens of Hip Hop. So it's
Oh my
all
gosh,
different
fun.
women rappers. It's amazing.
I'm dying to make my own oracle deck at some point. That's on my dream board list is to make one of my daughters and to do
Mm.
like give them each, like a deck that they can have and of black and white photos. I've got like a whole vision of it. So that's kind of well, maybe when they're 18, I'll have gotten it together by then and have
That's
made their own
beautiful.
deck. Um, I would also, before we start pulling, because I feel like we're getting close to getting right into the tarot of doing the practice. I'd love to know what the word witch means to you and how you feel about it. Do you identify as a witch? Like, tell me everything.
I love the word witch. I identify as a witch. The first time I was exposed to a community that identified as witches, I was like, yes, that is me. I have found my people. It means powerful. It means autonomy. It means change maker. It means badass to me. I love being a witch. And I love just the magic too that is implied by the word witch. The
Mm,
idea that you can conjure, that you can create, and also the controversy that's part of it. The idea that you are operating outside of tradition,
mm,
outside of patriarchy, outside of the confines of what a woman is supposed to be. I love that about the word witch.
mm. And how does it manifest in your identity? Like, how do you practice? Are there certain things that kind of, I know tarot is absolutely a part of that spiritual practice, but are there any other rituals or things that kind of make up that identity for you?
Absolutely. I have an altar, and on my altar, I have my ancestors. And I also like to practice rituals at my altar. I do have crystals. I like to put out water to create moon water on the full moons. I like to light a candle and I like to cast spells as well. Anything to manifest. I'm
Mm,
definitely in front of my altar manifesting. And this is like peak witchcraft to me.
I love that. Do you have any like daily, I'm always curious of people's, I don't want to say homework, but like, is there anything that you're like, I got to get this done spiritually? Like, I got to meditate every day or once a week, I got to go to the altar. Like, do you have anything that's kind of in your routine that you kind of use to upkeep your spirituality?
Yes. So my relationship with the tarot is very close. I pull tarot for myself in the morning,
Mm,
every morning. And if I have the time, I journal on my tarot reading. So I give myself a reading in order to center myself for the day. I ask my tarot deck rather, what do I need to know about myself right now? And that provides a lot of clarity for me. I'm somebody who lives with mental illness, and I have found that my spirituality helps to keep my mind clear and stable.
mm.
And really saying, okay, my spiritual practice is something that I tap into daily has been crucial for my health.
I definitely don't meditate every day, but it's funny. The main tarot deck that I use in my house is in my kitchen. And I kind of like I have like an eight of cups reversed up there right now. And it's probably been up there for a couple of weeks because I don't feel like it's come to fruition yet.
Hmm.
Like I kind of feel cyclically as I pull, like I'll know when I've gotten the message. Like sometimes I'll pull a card and I really won't be able to like land on it, if that makes sense. And then a couple of days will go by and I'll be like, oh, that. And I'll be like, okay, got it. Now I can move on to the next. Do you know what I mean? But it's this weird
Absolutely.
like holding space of my cards that I need to kind of like really process them and think them through a little bit. Do you think it's harder to read for yourself or for others? Do you have a preference or
So I think it's easier for me to read for myself than for others. I
mm-hmm.
enjoy doing both, but quite selfishly, I enjoy reading for myself the most. It's interesting because in different tarot courses I've taken, I've heard that it is more challenging the other way for
Mm,
people to read for themselves versus reading for others. And I think that has to do with feeling like having sort of this bias and
mm,
having wishful thinking and not being able to
mm,
be more objective as one can be when it comes to the subjective tool of tarot.
mm-hmm,
But for me, I just find reading for myself to be this opportunity to go extremely deep into my subconscious
mm-hmm,
in ways that I'm not necessarily able to do for a sitter. When I'm reading for someone else, we can hold space for conversation and to go deep in that way.
mm-hmm,
But I really selfishly just really enjoy that process internally for myself and uncovering the shadows, uncovering what has been more hidden. I really find that to be very healing and
Mm-hmm.
very transformative. And when I write these things down, when I'm journaling my reading for myself, it's so powerful because then I'm able to read it and really like take it in and see it. And also, what I love about reading for myself is by having this tarot journal where I will draw out the card that I pulled, I will write what the card was, I will then journal underneath it. I have this history of this is what I pulled for myself yesterday or the day
Mm,
before, or I'm able to see when cards repeat and if I'm going through a season of
right.
different cards, which is one of the mysteries that I see of the tarot that I will never understand just how it's possible to pull the same card multiple days in a
Isn't
row
that
when there are
wild?
78 cards.
Yeah.
That's how I know it's a communication with a divine intelligence, that it's not just random, that there is something that wants to speak to us. So,
Mm. Do you consider yourself psychic at all?
I don't, but I've never really trained with any psychics before. I've
Hmm.
never really given myself time to contemplate it. So I think based on my limited knowledge, I'd say no for now.
I think that it would be something interesting for you to explore because it'll just add such color to the readings because you'll be able to, in the same way that you can subconsciously feel the layers of a card inside of yourself as you continue to develop and sharpen and step into that path if you so choose. it it's really kind of a fun. I almost feel like it's like lighting up a Christmas tree. It's like you string everything and then all of a sudden everything starts kind of working together.
Mm.
But I could see that for you of kind of more developing that side of it, of getting into the psychic work a little bit and then being able to hold the tools kind of together.
Beautiful. I'll definitely check it out. I'm always looking for new skills. Like right now, I'm in a astrology mentorship because
Mm,
I want to be able to one day offer readings that are a combination of birth chart readings with tarot.
definitely. Yeah.
And so the idea of adding psychic ability to it sounds very exciting. And so I have a question for you, and this might be a dumb question,
Okay.
but what's the difference between psychic and mediumship?
That's a great question. Mediumship is talking to dead people, is all about connecting through the veil, through the other side. And psychic work um, is an psychic is another word for intuitive. So when we feel like, oh, I have an intuitive hit about something, I have a gut feeling that I have a knowing, that's your psychic senses coming alive about something in the present, in the physical world, in the spirit world. But it's usually something that you're dealing with when you're face to face with people. So if you were doing a reading per se, and I got a hit that the question you were asked was about your career, that would be a psychic hit. You're not telling me it's about your career, but I just have this sense of knowing. Whereas, like, if your grandmother popped in, like, that's mediumship. That's like a different energy. I don't know how one kind of opens the other, but as you open as a medium, you open as a psychic.
Hmm.
And I believe you can open as a psychic and not open as a medium. You don't have to use your gifts to go through the other side. It can just be kind of that sense of knowing. So it just depends on kind of how you want to use the tools that are available to you. Does that make sense?
Beautiful. Yes, that does make sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Are we ready to read some tarot?
I would love to read some tarot. I've
I'm
got my
so
deck.
I'm so excited. Tell us about your deck while I get the questions ready for us.
Yes, so I'm going to be reading from the Melanated Classic Tarot. It is very similar to the Smith Rider-Waite deck, which is the most popular deck. And the deck I learned to read tarot from, it's the deck that I recommend to any new tarot reader, is either the Smith Rider-Waite or the one that I'm pulling from. The Melanated Classic Tarot just has the same imagery, but everyone is black. And that's important for me. The box even says something to the effect of it's important to have inclusivity with icons of magic and power.
Mm.
And so being able to see myself reflected in my daily journaling is really important to me. So that's the deck that I will be reading from.
I love that. And I also love that your practice is about elevating, people of color and Black folks to really get into tarot. As, a white woman or as a white person who might be listening, how can white people support Black people in their spiritual journey?
Such a good question. Um, how can white people support Black folks on our spiritual journey? I think by offering different tools and offering trainings for
Mm,
free. I
okay.
believe in reparations for the descendants of the enslaved,
Hmm.
especially, and also for the descendants of the colonized as well. And I think one way that we can help with ancestral debt, even, is
Mm,
to have reparations be a part of the way that we interact now. And reparations can be financial, but I see it as a energy exchange. And so teaching someone, if you have a skill, I think that's great. If you offer courses, offering some for free for Black folks, I think is one of the best things that you can do. And in terms of supporting me personally, I am always looking to have more followers on Instagram, on TikTok, subscribers to my YouTube. That just helps my message get out there more. And so I think following and supporting Black practitioners in that way is great. And then a third way is sharing their work,
mm.
if there's a story that they post, sharing that story, sharing that post, elevating their voice is always important too.
Those are very like helpful, thoughtful things that I'm going to reflect on. I love that. All right, are we ready to read some tarot?
Yes, let's do it.
I have some real interesting questions. Let me tell you. My book club delivered, as they always do. Someone says, "Will I ever stop being annoyed at my white husband for finding his spiritual self in my motherland?"
Interesting.
Speaking of race dynamics and spirituality, this is such an interesting question. And um, not to center myself as a white person, but I took my Italian husband to Ireland a couple of years ago, and he is actually half Italian, half Irish, and he like really thrived in Ireland. And I kept thinking like, these are my people. But he was, he really was finding himself there. So I commiserate with this person who's like, what the hell?
Such
Do
a
you want
strong
to
question.
do you want to pull a card for our first reader and see what spirit wants her to know about this situation?
Yes, let's see about this situation. Fascinating. I
Mm.
got the lovers card.
Wow. Boom.
Yes.
Aw,
So,
that's very
what
sweet.
this is so incredible. I love that the divine wanted to speak through this card because
Mm,
in the Lover's card, you have three characters, if you will. You have an angel at the top of the card, and
mm,
then you have on the left side of the card a feminine figure, and on the right side of the card a masculine figure. I don't know the genders of the couple that we're talking about, but what's interesting is there was the mention of the white husband. So I'm going to assume
mm-hmm,
a man. And in the lover's card, the masculine figure is looking to the woman. And so,
mm,
what's so interesting about that is then the woman is looking up to the angel. And so, this
mm.
idea that the masculine benefits from following the feminine as a sacred guide.
Wow, 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 wow.
That's what the lovers is about. And
Mm,
so the lovers can often be about even just yourself, your masculine and your feminine self being in balance, but also it can be about relationships too. And so I would say that this is an opportunity for the querent to see their own divinity and
mm.
their own leadership, and perhaps to sort of flip that annoyance with feeling of uh, being empowered, just
Mm,
being so attractive, just being so magnetic.
Yeah.
having a lineage that is just so beautiful that her husband is feeling connected to her and connected to it as well. I think, there's also practical things about this too, like making sure that he's being respectful of
Mm,
the religions or of the spirituality that he's discovered for sure. Um, Now, this is outside of the tarot, but something that I think is interesting when we think about race dynamics in this country, it sounds like the sitter is in your book club. So I think here in the United States, is that part of how race was really structured and designed was to get rid of culture for white folks and to just label everyone as white. So to get
mm,
rid of your Irish background, to get rid of your German background, to get rid of your Italian background, and to say you are white. And so there is, as I've been taught by my life coach, who's a white woman, she
mm,
talks about white folks being stripped of their lineage and being almost hungry for spirituality. And so
mm,
perhaps there is an opportunity to look at this as, okay, my white husband is coming from a place of not having spiritual connection and is attracted to my really strong lineage.
mm-hmm.
And this is an opportunity for him to connect where he has been missing something. So, just some perspective there from the tarot and then also just from racial history.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's an incredible reading. Next question. This sitter would like to know, should I get a random job that I don't care about, that doesn't take over my life, so I can continue to pursue creative pursuits? So they want to know if they should get like a regular 9 to 5 so that they can do their own thing, or should they go all in on their creative career? I will
Okay.
pull a card for this person, and then I would love for you to add on your knowledge. Ace of Cups here. I will describe the card. There's a beautiful golden cup that is overflowing in 4 directions into a beautiful river of lily pads. And there's a white dove above it. And it's almost got like a little Eucharist. It's giving a lot of Catholic imagery, this card. And the white hand is coming from the clouds, almost like it's coming from the divine. And the Ace of Cups to me is always like such a slam dunk in any direction, right? And so what I'm getting intuitively from this is that there isn't a wrong answer, that there isn't you can't take one step and it's not going to hurt the other step. Um which is kind of irritating. I know sometimes we just want like a black and white answer, do this, don't do that. But what I'm seeing is your cup overfloweth, and it doesn't matter where you ground, where you root, where you spend your energy, like the divine blessings are coming from for you. That's what I'm receiving. Atima, do you have any other notes on mine? No, it's kind of hard to see with my crazy lights in here.
I love your reading. I was getting that it's important to follow your heart and to be fulfilled
Mm,
so that your cup can overflow.
yeah.
And so I think there's no wrong decision. I like that idea. And I would just add to it, making sure that your heart is being listened to in that
Mm,
process, in that decision making process, and knowing that you know the right answer for you.
mm. These are good. Okay. Okay. This is a tough one. Every corner of my life is stressful right now. How will I make it through, and is it worth it? Question mark.
Okay. I got the Queen of Cups. So
Mm,
in this deck, we've got a feminine being who's sitting on a throne with a crown on their head and holding this beautifully adorned cup with two angels on it. And in the background, we've got water flowing, and this throne is like on this little mound of earth with the water lapping up onto the land that the throne is on. And the being in this card is looking at the cup and is being very meditative
Mm.
and is taking time to really know themselves, to know their heart, and to be quiet. And so every corner of this person's life is stressful right now. Um, I'm hearing that they would benefit from finding time to relax and to spend time with themselves and to get quiet and to meditate and to not put pressure on themselves. It can be really hard to have hope when we're going through such a tough time and to really just take the pressure off of needing to even make a decision about life right now and to, in that quiet space, just give themselves time to just be and to focus on um, listening to their inner self, to their higher self as well. That's what the Queen of Cups is all about, is taking some time to know yourself. So that's what I'm hearing. I'm so sorry to hear that the Querent is having a tough time. My heart goes out to them.
Definitely. And I know this person is a wonderful mother and one of the funniest people I know. And she's just like this dynamic, fabulous woman. And I can also empathize with feeling just like stressed to the max and just being like, not having any energy left. And some advice that I have received from a friend when I was going through some mental health stuff is like, oftentimes we think when we're in like moments of great despair or overwhelm that we have to like do something, that we have to, be the chariot or be the knight and move it forward and move energy and like really go. And he was like, don't do anything. Be
Yes.
still, be quiet. Sometimes it's just one foot in front of the other. Sometimes it's just about surviving through the end of the day. Like that's your goal. Like sometimes it can be so still. And I love your reading of the Queen of Cups of being this contemplating, quiet, still energy. Because
Yeah.
in that stillness, it can feel like we're moving mountains sometimes. And that's all she needs to do is just sit on her imaginary throne and
Mm.
just hold space for herself and let the world spin around her and just know subconsciously that things will start to clear and things will start to move. I mean, the weather always changes, the seasons always go, but she has to kind of be that still center right now.
Very well said.
Sending you so much love, listener. We have two more questions. First one is someone wants to know if they should leave LA and where should they go? Big, bold questions from my book club. Where should they move and where should they go? Okay, I'll pull this one. Let's see here what the tarot wants us to know about moving. Ooh, I love this. We got the Fool reversed. Here's my
Wow.
little Fool card. I usually don't love to give like very definitive answers to things, but the Fool is saying like move. The Fool is saying pack your bags. I mean, look at he's even got his little, satchel in arm. He's got his dog nipping at his legs, and he's just like, we don't care where we're going, what we're doing. We're moving forward. We're walking off a cliff. I love the energy of the Fool, that just this full-hearted, adventurous, person who's just willing to go for it, who doesn't need a plan, who doesn't need structure, he's got a flower in one hand, his little bag in the other. I mean, connected to nature, connected to the higher self, the sun on their back. I mean, this is telling me to move.
I completely agree.
This is telling me to get out of Dodge. And this is also giving me, I'm feeling a lot of nature in this card with, the way the greenery is set up and the dog and the roses. Um, and I'm wondering if there is maybe a location or a place where you've always dreamt of going to have like a little more space, a little more grass, maybe a little tree, maybe a little herb garden, that you could kind of find and settle. Um, that's my interpretation of the Fool. I think the Fool is moving, but I did get it in reverse. So that is also kind of, let's talk about reversals, Atima, because when I get a reversal, I think, this is your reading, but it might take a while to hit. It might not like hit you in the gut right away. It might be a week or 2 weeks before this becomes really crystallized. How do you get reversals when you pull them?
So I oftentimes see it as energy that is blocked
Mm,
or an energy that we have mastered and are complete with. In
mm,
this case, I would assume that it's energy that is blocked.
mm-hmm.
So everything you were saying about going for it, but maybe they feel a little
Something's
bit
stuck.
trepidatious, yes, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit stuck, and need to give themselves that permission to be adventurous and to go on this journey. Something that you also have in the Fool card is you'll see they're jumping off this cliff and that there are rocky, spiky rocks underneath as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so the idea that you're willing to go on an adventure no matter the challenges that might come because it's
Mm-hmm.
soul aligned and it's what's best and in your highest good. And so when I think of also the question of where should this person move, I would
Mm.
say somewhere completely new, maybe somewhere that they've never been, so that they can
Mm.
have a true adventure and
Wow.
be open to, yeah, it's going to be a little bit rocky. There's going to be challenges, but I'm up for the adventure.
Ooh, I love that, and I'm scared for this person. Good luck, person. I want to hear back from these people and know how our stuff hit. This one says, I've been actively working on myself and what I want in a romantic partnership, deconstructing what I grew up understanding love is and rebuilding that definition. And I'm just wondering, A, is love out there for me? And B, should I keep looking, trying, putting myself out there? Because your girlfriend is tired and tired of dating. Oof. And then she did an emoji where she was tired.
Got it. Okay. So, let's see. What does the tarot want to say about the current romantic life and romantic search?
I got a hit about this too, so I'm excited what you pull.
Ooh, okay. And I'm excited to hear your hit. Okay, interesting. I got the Nine of Pentacles. And when I see the
Mm.
Nine of Pentacles come up, I think of independence. I think about being able to satisfy yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
think about truly that archetype of like, I'm an independent woman with my own money and my own things. Like, that's the vibe of the Nine of Pentacles.
Mm-hmm.
And also, in the Nine of Pentacles, the woman in the card is very much like connected to nature. And so there's this way that it's like this natural power, like knowing that
Mm.
it's your birthright. And so my intuitive hit here is that instead of focusing on a partner and focusing on someone external to come in, focusing on the self and being very satisfied with your own life and feeling independently like enough, I believe that that person's going to come in. I think that that's just one of the sexiest and most attractive things.
The hit that I'm getting is that I don't know if this person really wants the love right now. I'm getting like this energy that they're having fun and happy by themselves.
Hmm.
Um, and that they're kind of going through the motions of what they think they should do. but that they're not sure they believe them. And so it's interesting when you pulled that card, I felt what you felt. And then I also felt like maybe she's just so happy, like being surrounded by her coins and her joy and her possessions. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, I want this person to just kind of reflect on what they believe that they want, because I'm not sure that there is an alignment. And I could be wrong. But also, I love Atima's advice of just focusing on yourself. And a lot, you know what? The other thing is like the universe is working in ways that we have no capacity and understanding and comprehension of. And so, what I would also offer this person is to maybe do a spell or even jot down the things they want, crumple it up, light it on fire, and forget about it and let the universe do the work for them. I feel like sometimes in our human minds, we think we have to be in charge of everything and we got to go on the apps and we got to go on the date. It's like, no, let them bump into you. Rom-coms, we love them for a reason, and I know this person loves rom-coms. Because things do organically happen and people do randomly meet people. And, I feel like she needs to surrender a little bit and put the universe to work, put her guides to work, ask her ancestors, get an altar going. I think there's other things we can do here to take the pressure off her from having to do the work.
Yes, snaps to that. I love that advice. I need to be doing some of that in my own life. So I love that advice so much.
I feel like I'm doing it a little too much these days where I'm like, they'll handle it.
Just give it up to my guides.
They'll do it. It's great. Everything's fine. I have one more question for us. This question is, again, from one of my book lovers, and I'm paraphrasing for her, but she is about to embark on a new creative journey, but she's a little bit nervous and a little bit scared and is not sure she wants to take the leap emotionally to put this new project out into the world. So what advice do we have from Spirit for her?
Okay.
Interesting. So this is so funny. I also got the Queen of Cups.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of Queen of Cup energy from this group, which I feel like is kind of a universal. So, like we said before, this is a feminine queen sitting on a throne. My gal is wearing some beautiful blue garb, a big golden crown, and she's kind of stroking her cup here. She's got two angels that are kind of hovering above her that are arched and etched into her beautiful throne. And she's sitting in front of this vast, beautiful blue ocean surrounded by some gold foil. And it's interesting. I always think of the cups as this really abundant, full, deep card to pull. And so when I think about this paired with creativity, it feels rich. It feels successful. It feels, ready to go. But it's interesting because I'm not getting a lot of movement from the queen, as we discussed, right? This is a still card. This is a card of magnetism that's kind of drawing things in. And so it's interesting because I know this person is kind of on the deciding end of whether they want to pull the trigger on this project or not. And what I'm reading from this card is that they're sitting on their throne, holding space, wondering if they should pull the trigger or not. I'm almost getting a mirroring. Do you have any other feel? I almost think I want to pull another card for her because I'm not getting a lot of clarity on this one. What are you? Anything from you?
I agree. I think another card would be helpful. What I get from the Queen of Cups is getting more clarity from the self, spending time understanding what would be fulfilling. And so it might be that more time is needed, but a second card could be helpful to read in conjunction with that.
So, second card of Ace is Ace of Wands.
Interesting.
So,
Okay, what do you think?
well, you had the big reaction. You go first.
Okay, sure. So, the aces I think of as the roots of the entire suit that they
Mm,
represent. And the wands are a creativity card. It is
mhm.
action. It is about putting your magic forward. And so I would say spending some time meditating on launching this project and how it can fill your cup and how it can be this project that really meets your needs and your desires and the way that it can be a manifestation of your biggest dreams. I say go for it when I see the Ace of Wands. I see, in that, in the deck, you've got the hand of the universe holding this wand, and their hand is closed and they're very active. It's also a more masculine suit. So
Mm.
it's about like taking action, going for it, swinging for the fences, is how I see it.
I love that. And I think adding in that masculine energy is something that is really going to balance the queen because there is this like quiet contemplation, right? That's happening in this question of like, should I do it? Should I not? But we need that big masculine energy to just, I love what you said about knocking it out of the park. And I almost think of this too as this magical, like, think of a magic wand like being waved. Like, it's time now to do the magic, to see the motion, to see things come to fruition. Um, I have been rooting for this person to get it going. So I'm excited that Spirit also says, Ace of Wands, let's go. Let's see big swings. I love it. Atima, I feel like I could do tarot with you all day, every day. I feel
Me
like
too.
we never run out of things to explore and discover. I hope you will come back under the moon gate and we'll do more tarot in the future. I hope you have a wonderful Halloween and a
You.
wonderful rest of your season.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy.
Also, do you want to plug anything before we sign off here?
Oh, yes. I feel called to be a tarot teacher and to spread the magic of tarot to as many people as possible. And one of the ways I'm doing that is I created cheat sheets that are free on my website that have keywords for all 78 cards. People can be really intimidated when they're thinking about starting to learn tarot because there are so many cards, but I've made it easy with my cheat sheets on atimatarot.com.
Well,
Alrighty,
thank
my
you
friend.
again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been such an honor.
Under the Moongate is produced and hosted by me, Erin Bagwell. And to learn more about my new documentary about the Forgotten Goddess era, the Burning Times, and a modern woman's quest for divinity, visit theresurrectionofthewitch.com. And pass the magic along. Rate, review, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. Plus, if you want episodes delivered to your inbox, you can join me on Substack as a free subscriber. Okay, thanks so much for listening.